our big ambitions are. One thing, now that we are halfway through this stream, so this is a 12-hour stream, and we are 6 hours deep. The last thing I want to do before we bring in our next guest, Paolo Pedercini, is to just first of all give out some thank yous again. First to our patrons, Nolan Filter and Maxwell Neely Cohen. Patron status means a lot to us at ROMchip. It's our highest tier of donor. It really expresses a kind of sustained and long-term commitment to building a creative and intellectual ecosystem at ROMchip. We also want to thank all of our early donors, folks who donated money in advance of the live stream, who got us to the momentum we have today. So that's Kendra Albert, Corey Burns, Matt Clausen, Travis Foss, Maxwell Foxman, Gordon Frischlid, Curtis Fry, Chaim Gingle, Dave Gueda, Matt Knudsen, Lillian McIntyre, Saber Tail, Sue Murray, Chris Persaud, Jeff Peterson, Liz Petrick, Benjamin Raheb, Eric Salvaggio, John Sharp, Andy Urich, Jose Zagal, Ben Zotto, and about 5 folks who were anonymous. Lastly, again, big shout out to Cody Wilson, our technical director and our talent coordinator consort. They're the ones keeping everybody in line behind the scenes. All right. So much thanks for you today. And so now here we go. Our next guest is Paolo Pedercini. According to his website, which is written in all caps, Paolo was born in 1981, somewhere in northern Italy. He's currently based in Pittsburgh after what he says, quote, was surviving Milan and studying in upstate New York. He teaches experimental game design and media production courses at Carnegie Mellon University's School of Art, mostly noted for his radical video game project Molleindustria, and where he says he has unintentionally convinced many people that his games are art. He sometimes makes things that are not games. He runs a space for experimental games called Like. And according to this bio, owns between 20,000 and 50,000 pets. I have questions about what that means, but maybe we could get to that later, Paolo. Little known headcanon fact, if you Google image search my name, there's a photo of me and Paolo riding a Ferris wheel together in Pittsburgh, which is like my primary Paolo.
I remember that.
Yes, I got to hang out with Paolo when I was invited to the studio lab at Carnegie Mellon, speak to his class. That was a lot of fun. Paolo, explain what is happening today, because you might win the award for most intriguing and unconventional response to today's prompt.
Yeah, it turns out I don't really have games that I liked when I was a kid that I want to share. They all kind of sucked. So I'm going to go a little bit back in time and play something that is not a game, which is but actually an interactive film. It's called Kinoautomat, and it's from 1967. So it's definitely about history. It's a precursor, one of the many precursors of video games and interactive narratives. I thought this was kind of like a special thing because you cannot really find it kind of anywhere, really, because it requires a special setup.
Paolo cut out for me.
The movie will do most of the talking and the entertainment, and it even has its own meta layer.
Okay, incredible. Yeah, I know you did a bunch of kind of back-end software stuff to make something like this even viewable, basically, to like a contemporary audience. So that's a real kind of preservation effort on your own behalf. I'm happy to get out of your way and let you hit it.
Yeah, so great. I'll just say just a couple of things before we start. So yeah, it is what you're about to see is a interactive movie in the sense of it's a branching choice movie. Do we have the feed? The video feed? Yes, I think it is. It is branching choices, not that many branching choices. As if you remember Black Mirror Bandersnatch, that's kind of like that. Occasionally, the movie stops and you have to choose what the protagonist does is supposed to be doing. Yeah, so it's arguably maybe one of the first branching stories in any medium because at that point we weren't just we were like like book adventure books and so on. And you might be wondering how it worked in 1967. Well, it involved a special movie theater that was set up for the World Fair in Montreal. You know the Point World Fairs where or World Expo where all nations were showcasing experimental technologies. So they basically set up a whole movie theater with buttons, with two buttons, red and green. There was also kind of like a visualization of the voting system. And it was like a performance kind of movie. There were like two actors, live actors on stage, sort of like introducing the choices and moderating kind of like the event. So this is before obviously computers and also electronic video. So the piece originally ran on two film projectors that were like kind of like shooting in sync, and the projectionist manually opened and closed the shutters and stopped the reel, changed the reels. So spoiler alert, there's not a lot of branching happening. So yeah, also interesting that the movie Kinoautomat, the project, was banned by the Communist Party of Czechoslovakia. This is a Czech movie that debuted in Canada, possibly because of its not so subtle satire of democracy under communism and rigged elections. But it was restored more recently and revived by the daughter of the director, who's Chinchera, and it's occasionally being screened at movie festivals. So if you're a film festival organizer, you should do this properly. This is a bit of a bootleg. So what you're about to watch is kind of like the DVD rip, reconfigure and rebuilt for web, essentially. So you will not find this film playable anywhere on the internet. I just have like a local version. Here you will see the on-stage actress that uses more or less the same script that live actors would have followed in 1967. It's a little bit updated. So the interactive parts, the moral dilemma, are broken down very slowly because, again, the concept of interactivity didn't even exist at that time. So there is a minor warning. It's an old, dark comedy, so there is a little bit of outdated sexism here and there. It lasts about an hour. So I gotta get fast, get into it. Otherwise, we'll yeah, I'll stay quiet most of the time, and we'll try to vote democratically via Twitch chat. So you will have to shout red or green, and I'll try to poll in real time. I will see it's not a very sophisticated system. And if you donate more than $10, you can actually, let's do like more than $20. You can claim the next choice, so we can localize it to our Western capitalist democracy. So if you pay money, you can get the choice. So just make sure that you shout your username at the moment of voting. All right, I'm going to switch to it. It's going to have a bit of, I'm going to skip a little bit of the introduction because it's kind of long. But it does start with a kind of an explosion. The screen literally breaks. The fourth wall.
Computer be broken.
All right, now it starts.
gentlemen, it looks like the film is broken. But can the film at the computer be broken? Most likely not. But once upon a time, every performance of Kinoautomat, the very first interactive film in the world, started like this. Well, once upon a time, it was 1967 to be precise, at the World's Expo in Montreal. And now you have, after so many years, an extraordinary chance to get a taste of prehistoric interactivity. You don't believe me? Well, let's try. But one request, please, don't push on the red button at this moment. Or, well, I'm sure you won't do that, you're not crazy. But anyway, please don't push on the red button, or it will cause a fire.
Don't jump now! Wait till they're ready with a blanket! Wait for the signal! Wait for it!
I live in a quiet place. Every home has some attractive feature. The nice thing about our block of flats is its calmness. An atmosphere of calm prevails. My neighbors are pleasant, well-behaved people. This is an ex-army officer, retired. But why, nobody knows. A soldier through and through. He regards Julius Caesar as the greatest man in history. He named his poodle after him.
Caesar! 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 Caesar!
This girl is a student. What does she study? I don't know. And this is her friend, also a student. I don't know what he studies either. They both study hard, usually together. Physiology, perhaps. And who is this? One moment. Yes, it's my neighbor, Mr. Svoboda. He lives next door. I know him only by sight, but I always meant to knock on his door one day and introduce myself properly. He has a charming wife. Really charming. This is not her. This is Mrs. Zemek, a retired school teacher. Still very active, though. In fact, she's probably the most active person in our block.
I can't think where. I've seen her before.
It's her third time round.
Mr. Svoboda is looking for his wife. No wonder. She's a charming woman. Oops, sorry, I've already told you that. Here she is.
Vera!
A touching reunion. As a matter of fact, this is a typical scene from their married life. The husband bearing his delightful burden with unconcealed pleasure. This is the hall porter, the last man to leave. I'm to blame for all this. I'm to blame for all this.
Wait, are you sure about that? You see, sometimes people make a mountain out of a molehill. On the other hand, a simple remark like, let them eat cake, can start the French Revolution. But if you don't mind, Mr. Novak, we will go through the whole thing with you and try to find your mistake. We are going to stop the story several times and we will decide the situation for you. How? It's quite easy. I'll show you. Actually, in the original Kinoautomatic theater, everybody had on the side of their seats 2 push buttons, a green one and a red one. Right now, you have the same push buttons on your screens. You see them? Okay. So now you have the unique opportunity to decide and to change the plot. How? Stop it, stop. No, not now. Just for this last time, I will decide. And now, Mr. Novak, tell us how it all happened.
But let's go back to this morning. It was my wife's birthday. Every wife has a birthday, but one's own wife seems to have them more often. I couldn't decide what to give her, a fur coat or a ring.
These are quite nice. Or would you like something more special?
I bought roses. I'll take those. How much?
40 crowns, please.
Here, thank you.
Thank you.
And this is our block. I was entering the building in the best of spirits. I'd started celebrating my wife's birthday at lunchtime.
Thank you.
A toast to her charms, and several more to her health. Good afternoon. Any messages?
Should there be?
No, but I thought I might as well ask you. Life's so full of delightful surprises.
Hey, you, looking for somebody?
No.
Visitors should first check with the porter.
Porter. He's a friend. It's all right.
Thank you.
Thanks again. You're welcome. Hope you enjoy yourself. It's Mrs. Zeman.
Hello, Mr. Novak. Are you going up?
Yes, going up.
It's ages since I had any company.
Pardon?
You are going up.
Up. Oh, yes, yes. Come on, please.
Caesar! Caesar at once! Come upstairs immediately! Oh, don't you hear me? Come up here instantly! Caesar! Caesar! No self-discipline, have you?
They must be out.
You should try ringing the bell, Mr. Novak.
Oh, no! No, Captain, no, it's just, I got mixed up with the doors. You see, I'm trying to get into my
I
flat.
understand perfectly, Mr.
You
Novak.
have?
I've often found that I've stopped the lift on the wrong floor. And you know why?
No.
Because we all live without any system. We need a proper system.
I know.
A system is essential for every rational person.
I know, but...
For instance, each floor could be painted a different colour. A rainbow.
Yeah.
And the whole building divided right down the middle. Let's say we could make it an east block and a west block.
Yeah.
It would very definitely help us to orientate ourselves. But nobody will ever listen to me.
Yes,
No.
yes.
No. No one.
I see, no one. It was nice of you to help me, Captain.
Oh, no. Oh. Oh, please, will you help me, Mr. Novak? Can I come in for a minute?
Why?
I haven't any clothes on. The wind blew my door shut and I can't get back in.
How awkward for you,
This
but you
isn't
must
it.
understand my position. I'm afraid I can't help you. My wife will be home any minute. It's her birthday, and I...
Don't worry, I haven't seen a thing. Don't worry.
Oh, my God, that's all I
Please,
needed.
please don't worry. I'll explain everything to your wife. You can't leave me standing out here in the nude.
Please try to understand.
Stop. You see? Maybe the whole thing started right here. Maybe this was his first mistake. This lady is a stranger, and this lady has no clothes on. And a strange lady in your flat is difficult to you and quite obvious to your wife. A strange lady gets into your flat quite easily as a strange object into your eye, but inside in a flash, but out very slowly. Mr. Novak had the choice of two possibilities: to refuse
It's impossible.
or to let her in.
Impossible.
Oh, please, please.
This is a BioShock type of moral dilemma.
The situation with two alternatives is the most difficult. This dreadful indecision.
Start voting in the chat.
Take Hamlet, for example, to be or not to be. That's why it is a tragedy. If there are more alternatives, you get a comedy. But Mr. Novak had no time to think. Hamlet did. A prince can afford to think. He has plenty of time. But then again, does Prince know such situations? Refuse to let her in and leave her in the corridor. She'll be alone there, in an awkward situation and with no clothes on, plus in a draft. What would you do in Mr. Novak's place? Oh, you are in his place. It is no longer his fate, it is yours. It is you who is letting the strange lady in your flat, and it is your wife that is coming back. As for the ladies, they must reverse the situation. But then again, ladies have more imagination and can easily picture the situation with all possibilities and consequences. So, you have to decide. The green button says, do not let her in. The red one, let her in. Again, the green button says, do not let her in.
So is it red? It seems like slightly or red. You got 10 seconds. And if you donated $20 since last time, you can supersede.
Afternoon.
Fan of these transitions.
Please.
Oh!
Wait. Shh. Oh my God. It's Mrs. Svoboda.
So I see.
Now, please, don't jump to conclusions. It isn't at all what you imagine. Mrs. Svoboda! Mrs. Svoboda! Would you be so kind as to...
Have you seen my wife, by any chance?
Martha!
Darling. I was doing the ironing and suddenly there was a ring at the door. Mr. Novak was kind enough to let me come in because I had no clothes on.
I wasn't expected home until 6.
But, Mr. Svoboda, be reasonable.
I'd never have found out what was going on here.
You must
Mrs. Svoboda.
Well, what is it?
I was, well, it's all right. Thank you.
Mr. Svoboda,
I'm surprised at you, Mr. Novak. You don't look like
Martha!
Just a minute.
I'm cold.
Suddenly you're cold.
I've been
Martha!
trying to tell you
Quite
ever
clear,
since
you're
you
not
came
coming back
home.
in
You
here
only
again.
listen to me.
Martha, where are you
Let
going?
me in.
Come
You
back,
can't leave me
Martha!
out here in the nude.
Martha!
Please, let me in.
Mrs.
Take
Svoboda!
your hands off me.
Martha!
He'll be sorry when they find me.
No, wait! Martha! Mrs...
Martha, Martha. Mr. Novak called her and his voice was full of love. Martha. You can hear it now, but then a voice like his could stop a tornado. It could stop Niagara Falls. In vain. She's gone. But where? Where do all women go in such a time? Home, to mothers. And again, we have two alternatives. Mrs. Svoboda is in Mr. Novak's flat. She goes down the corridor She enters the bathroom. She stops in front of the mirror. Oh, but what's that? Why doesn't he use an electric razor? Old habits die hard. And Mrs. Novak? By now, she's with her mother. And then, where's she going? To the bathroom. Oh, to dry up her tears and to cover the traces of her sorrow with makeup. Terrible things are happening here. And maybe over there too. Please help him. He now has a strange lady in his own flat and his own wife in a strange flat. Decide for him, according to your own inclination. Where should he go? The green button says to follow his wife. The red one, to help Mrs. Swoboda. The green button, to follow his wife. The red one, to help Mrs. Swoboda.
Vote. All right, it seems like green following the wife.
Porter! Come here a minute. Didn't you see me come in?
Why?
What time was it?
10 to 3.
You have an excellent memory, lucky for me. Come with me and tell it to my wife.
I never interfere with things that don't concern me.
I'm not asking you to interfere. Just say it was 10 to 3. Come on.
I'm afraid I can't overstep the regulations for anybody.
But she's going back to her mother.
I have no authority to prevent it.
Oh. Excuse me, Captain. Did you see my wife just now?
She took a cab.
Where?
North.
I must find her.
Why?
Poison. She swallowed some mothballs by mistake for her headache.
How do you know?
A strange instinct made me count the mothballs. What did the cab look like?
I'll come with you.
You will?
Novak. There was something odd about it. Yes, wait. It will come.
Come on.
I'll take advantage of this unnecessary Eastern European car chase scene to remind you why we are doing this. We are raising funds for ROMchip, which is a journal of game histories. They develop, edit, and publish ad-free, open-access game history research for a range of audiences. They have no paywall, no ads, no predatory publishing model. And they have an hybrid audience, because game history is for everyone, by everyone. These are the iconic Trabant cars. If you donate more than $20, you can claim the next choice, overriding democracy.
Here we are again. Two alternatives, two possibilities, like two flashes of lightning. He can either stop and show his papers, or to step on the accelerator and drive off. To stop would involve a great loss of time. To dodge the policeman would mean to dodge the law. Cars are trying to move on behind him. A car is trying to escape in front of him. And in that car, his wife. Her head is spinning. Her head is hesitating between two choices. And his foot is hesitating between the accelerator and the brake. In moments like this, your foot may be quicker than your head. It will act on its own instead of the head, and sometimes better than the head. But now, watch. You are driving this car. The brake is red, the accelerator green. Step on one of them, quickly. You have everything in your hands or feet. Our film, history,
Please vote in the chat.
escape. Make your choice. The green button says to drive off. The red one to stop. The green button to drive off. The red one to stop.
All right, we ride. If you thought Vespas were cool,
Sorry, but I can't help you anymore in this affair.
Look,
It's out of the
Captain,
question.
try to remember. You quite definitely saw me
I
there.
agree that I certainly saw you standing outside that door,
Well-
and I agree it's feasible you rang the bell by
No,
mistake.
I mistook their door for
Yes.
mine. I tried to...
consider the alternative. It's possible that it would have been a maneuver.
Eh?
You could have planned a secret rendezvous with Mrs. Svoboda.
Please
Mr.
don't be
Novak.
absurd, Captain.
Mrs. Svoboda is expecting you at a time previously arranged. So you ring the doorbell, you stop. A third party enters the scene. It's me, yes. So what do? You pretend that you're all confused about the door. You escape. Mrs. Svoboda listens behind her door, waiting for me to go. So when I disappear, she tiptoes along the corridor. What does she do then? She checks that the coast is clear this time. And finally, rings your bell.
No!
And now, Mr. Novak, you hear the bell, you move to the door, and... as I presumed. Goodbye, Mr. Novak.
But, Captain, wait!
Have you explained
Get back
it
inside
all?
before somebody sees you.
Oh,
You're here again, Mrs. Zeeback.
what did I come for? Yes. Some matches. Have you any matches, Mr.
Let me
Novak?
see. Yes, I've got some for you. She's the... Mrs. Zeeback, do you remember riding up in the lift with me this afternoon?
Yes.
Ah, now. I'm in trouble. It's my wife. She...
Oh, Mr. Novak. Mr. Novak, you mustn't worry.
Yes.
Mr. Novak, I saw nothing.
It's not that.
I won't break
No.
the word to a soul.
No.
I won't tell anybody.
No,
You can
Mrs.
depend
Zeeback,
on me,
you've got
Mr.
it all
Novak.
wrong. Well, sit down a minute. Please.
They don't know anything, and neither do you. But somebody's coming down the corridor. Who do you think? Her husband or his wife? We can change that now, but use your push buttons to make a guess.
I'll never understand.
this is another example of
Imagine why
fake
anyone should be
choice,
in the
but
corridor,
expressive
blindly running
choice.
about, half naked.
And I can't imagine how anyone could mistake the front door of his own flat.
But it wasn't my fault. My attention was...
My husband.
my wife.
Her husband green, his wife red. Try to make a guess quickly.
Here we are, here we are, here we are, here we are. Birthday greetings, birthday greetings, birthday greetings. Here we are.
Now, that's funny. He sees us all and disappears.
Come on, you've got to get out of here. Come on. In here. Bloody hell.
Are you all right?
Yes, I have to get dressed. Yada-dee-dee-da-dum-dee-dee-da-da. The whole family has turned up for my wife's birthday. Da-dum-dee-dee, da-dum-dee-dee, dee-dee. Da-dum-dee-dee, da-dee, da-dum-dee-dee-dee-da-dee-dee. Come in. Only this morning we were talking about you. Come on. No. Thank you, Auntie. Yes, Martha and I were just saying that you probably wouldn't come this year.
Martha! We'll make ourselves at home. Don't you worry.
Oh, it's a nice place.
Grandma, take these, please.
I'll put it on the
Go on,
bed.
dear. Go over there. You could go. Now, where can I put...
Nice place they've got here.
Really ought to
If
go
the ceiling was a bit higher, it'd be even
Not
better.
nice for us.
Want to live in a barn, do they?
Grandma, I'm hungry.
Thanks. Now we can get the table in.
Martha's here.
Here, take these. My heart's on fire. I love you. The flames are rising
I've got an
higher.
idea.
Go on.
Let's hide.
Oh, yes.
In the bathroom.
In the lavatory. No, go in there, in the bedroom. All of you.
Yes.
No, it's very fine. I won't tell her. You go and hide. And shut the door after you. Shh, come on.
Tell me when we're going to see me.
You must be quiet, Grandpa. She'll hear you.
What?
Here we are, here we are, here we are, here we are. Birthday greetings, birthday greetings, birthday greetings.
Here we are. Birthday greetings.
Quiet.
I'm hiding in here. It's Grandpa.
Shut up, old man. It's a visitor.
May I speak to you for just a moment, Mr. Novak?
Of course. Please excuse me, but there's something I have to discuss with Mr. Svoboda. Won't be a minute.
we
Okay.
know Mr. Svoboda.
Martha, what's going on? Where is Martha?
Excuse
Why,
me.
She's expecting you.
If you don't mind.
I must go.
Won't take long. Mr.
Come
Novak.
on now. We've travelled all this distance to see you and Martha. You can't
Look,
keep
Uncle
us
Jan,
here
there's a
like
large bottle and glasses, plenty of food for everyone. Please, help yourself. You take charge. You're so good at it.
Let's go on the balcony.
Good idea. You were saying?
But who is Mr. Svoboda?
The alcoholic, you mean?
What?
He's in hospital.
I want to speak frankly. Man to man.
Of course.
It's not your fault. You're not to blame. This has been a very painful experience for me. My wife's sexually primitive.
Good Lord.
Her moral code is that of some savage creature prowling through the jungle.
Oh, you're wrong, Mr. Svoboda. She's sweet, admirable, intelligent.
You're trying to tell me you love her.
Not me. I just remembered. There's a witness who can prove my innocence. Come on. Enjoying yourselves? Plenty to eat? Come along, Mr. Svoboda. I'll convince you you're the victim of your own imagination. Let's go over the facts. You believe that your wife spent the afternoon in my flat.
Yes, with nothing on.
Exactly. Now listen to me very closely. I'm going to prove that this afternoon I entered this building only 3 minutes before you. Come on. Sorry to disturb you, but could I see your boyfriend for a minute? The one who came in this afternoon?
There's no one here.
Has he gone?
No one's been.
Someone's been here. I know he has. A tall, good-looking boy. I took him up in the lift.
No one.
Just a minute. I'm afraid you don't understand me. I must see your boyfriend.
Stop. A stranger's private life lies behind this door, and it is highly private. What shall he do now? How shall he proceed? Should he pursue his alibi into a stranger's home? Or should he apologize? I'm sure she's not alone. They are studying there. The question I want to ask is, does one have the right to intrude on privacy of the others? Is it permissible to prove yourself innocent if it means trampling on the right of others? Make your selection. The green button says to go into the flat.
Take your hands off me.
Inside.
The red button says to apologize and leave.
I'm sorry, I must have been mistaken.
Yes, you were.
You got 3 seconds only. Why so little? The lady is getting cold.
I think we are leaning toward red here. So
I saw that boy myself.
You're trying to make a fool out of me.
No, I'm not.
You're making trouble.
I beg your pardon.
That's enough. Now clear off out of it.
You must be out of your mind.
Stop it. Choose this grip on the mail.
Stop it. Bill, stop it. Uncle Jan, stop it.
You, eh?
My God, do you realize what you've done? Mr. Svoboda, please.
Don't humble yourself.
Oh, shut up. Mr. Svoboda, come back here.
Did he lend you money?
It wasn't money. Mr. Svoboda.
I do with the telephone.
It's the telephone. Come on, come on.
Jan on an errand like that. Silly old. Martha? Martha, the whole family's here. Martha, where are you? I know. I know. I know. Yes. Are you there? Hello? Hello? Martha? Martha? Martha! I'll chop your tiny hand off. Shut me up, you guys. Speak on. What?
There's a fire!
Hurry, hurry, my heart's on fire. I love you.
Ruined everything. Couldn't you have hung on a few minutes longer?
I just remembered the iron. I had to come in.
What iron?
The iron! I just started to do some ironing when the doorbell rang, and I went out to see who it was.
And the iron is...
Still plugged in!
Stand back.
Now, just what is going on? Has there been some trouble here?
She's sick. Don't worry, everything's under control. Come on. You're too young for this. Don't worry. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Why did you leave it till now?
I've been trying to ever since I was locked out. Don't just stand there. Don't
What can
stop
I
it
do?
Before we all get back
Yes,
to
but who's
jail.
got-
It's on the phone.
What? It's Mother.
And if you
Just a minute.
She'll
No,
open, she
Mr.
won't
Novak!
call again.
Mr. Novak! Mr. Novak! Mr. Novak!
This place is a right bloody shambles. All those phone calls, no dinner, and women running around with no clothes on.
But please, Martha, I can't talk. Yes, but I was cut off. Yes. Eh? Please, Martha, will you wait a minute?
We can handle this. You go left. I'll signal.
I'll meet you there. You'll wait? How long? 10 minutes. Right, I'll be there. I won't be long. I'm going. I'm going. I'm going. Bloody hell. Here we are.
Mr. Novak!
You'll need these soon, but there won't be a fire. Don't panic, there's nothing to worry about.
What?
It's all right, there won't be a fire.
He's gone mad too.
You'll be all right.
Thank you. Mr. Novak!
Something awful's happened. Switch off the main fuse. There's a fire.
No one's notified me.
Cut off the power. Cut off the power.
Why should I?
Because of the fire.
Where?
The Svobodas.
One moment. I'll have to check. Every tenant is obliged to report a fire occurring in his flat. In person. Hey! Come back! Give me that key! Stop! Don't touch it! You're not allowed in here!
You should call the fire brigade.
Don't touch the insulation! And don't tell me what to do!
I'm trying to tell you we're on fire.
You're trying to tell me, but I'm telling you!
But you...
Don't do that! Didn't you read the sign? Eh? It is forbidden by tenants not to be extremely dangerous. Now get out!
Stop! What a lovely opportunity to be able to say stop at just the right moment. And wait. And think. And consider. In real life, the hand would continue its movement. The bottle would fall on the head would fall on the floor, and all the consequences would fall on Mr. Novak's head. Or the hand would stop, and all ends in smiles.
So red hit the guard. Green hit the guard. Red don't.
Please help him in his situation. In your hand, there's his happiness, his marriage, and above all, the bottle. Make your selection. The green button says to hit. The red one, not to hit. The green one, to hit. The red one, not to hit.
I'm to blame.
You see, Mr. Novak still thinks he is to blame for all this. But you have been through this whole story with him, so you too must come to a final conclusion. It only remains to process the data and arrive at a verdict. Guilty or not guilty? Red or green? Red, guilty, green,
This is a different kind of choice.
You must decide, please.
Our response, right? Our moral position in relationship to Mr. Novak. I'll give you another second. All right. Was it because of the manhandling of the lady? All right.
Thank you. Your decision was a hard one, but just. The only open course to him now is to lift the receiver and dial. If he pleads guilty in advance, it will be taken into consideration.
What's the matter with you? Are you ill?
See that? It's on fire. Whose fault? Mine. Who started it? Me.
You?
Me.
Somebody's locked the door.
I have.
I beg your pardon? Who?
I, the Kinoautomat.
Why?
Because you're not guilty.
Don't say that. We know best what started the catastrophe. It was because Mr. Novak mistook the door to his own flat.
Do you think so?
I don't think so. I know so.
But one has to think, logically and accurately. I have already processed all the data on this subject. With your permission, I will feed back to you the sequence of events if you had not stopped at the wrong door. Here we are.
Right, this is where it happened. He turned around, and that's why he mistook the door. If he had...
Do you think so? Let us run back a bit further.
a minute. Who is this gentleman? Who was that gentleman?
This one? I'm sorry, this one?
Yes. Mrs. Svoboda's lover? Don't tell me. Outrageous.
Excellent. This possibility too has been reckoned with. Please, introduce her.
Nine, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I know. You are trying to suggest that the ending would have been the same whatever decision Mr. Novak would have made. But what if he had simply broken down the door and turned off the iron?
Yes, but that wouldn't make any difference. Wait a moment and I'll feed that sequence back to you. Please watch.
Unbelievable.
You want to know who unplugged the iron, don't you? It was Mr. Svoboda, of course.
But when?
The first time that he entered the flat.
But someone had to set the house on fire.
Correct.
That means someone is guilty.
Don't use such emotional language. An intricate, highly complex structure like that, inhabited by sophisticated and highly complex individuals, has got to burn down one day.
No, you're avoiding the truth. Who set the place on fire? Who is guilty? You see, she doesn't know. And I know why. The end to the story is known only to one person, the author. And who is the author? It's you, ladies and gentlemen. This is not Mr. Novak's story. It is yours. Mr. Novak, that's you. And here we are again. Two possibilities, two endings. One, a happy one, bright and gay. The other, a sad one, black and horror.
This is the
Make your
last choice.
ladies and gentlemen. A happy one, green. Horror, red.
Do we want a happy ending?
My congratulations. From the 32 different stories that could be told, you have picked today the nicest combination. My compliments. Well, I don't say this because I'm speaking to you. I say this every time. And now, the end according to your wishes. Mr. Novak doesn't exist. Mr. Novak, that's you. And me too. We are all Mr. Novak. And we are all guilty.
Yoo-hoo! Mr. Novak, stop making such a fuss. I set the place on fire. Yes, you had nothing to do with it.
She has bad eyes. She hasn't noticed that I've been standing here instead of Mr. Novak. How could you do that?
With the matches you lent me, remember? Mr. Novak, what's wrong now?
Perhaps I should have told you that she's very fond of sliding down the chute.
You should take up a hobby like me and relax.
Ooh, just in time, 6 p.m. All right. Yeah, so yeah, this was Kinoautomat. The film always ends with a fire. It is not possible to alter the course of event, as I was saying in the chat. There are basically two plot lines that converge at the different choice points. So it's like a branching out and branching in, and but the audience is not really supposed to know that. It's supposed to imagine like the choices to sort of like grow exponentially. So yeah, you can sort of like see that as soon as interactive storytelling becomes a possibility, it is immediately used in this self-referential meta-narrative way, a bit like the Stanley Parable, and to some extent, to examine issues of agency, determinism, computation, and reality as simulation. And I think because of the screening on a theater, which is kind of similar to what we are doing today, the choice is collective, so it automatically speaks of democracy or lack of thereof, hence perhaps the censorship. All right, so I'm done here, so I'll leave it to Q Dots in Cubivore.
Oh, hey there, Paolo. I'm just here to send you out. That sure was something. That's what I'm gonna say. So thank you so much for that. We like absolutely held audience. People were riveted. People were engaged. It was quite a fun time. We are now at, thanks to your help, $5,585, 80% to our 7K goal. Thank you so much for being a ROMchip supporter, Paolo. That was very cool. Thank you for sharing that with us.
All right. Thank you for having me.
All right. Now, don't go anywhere, folks. We've got Q-Dot coming up next to play Cubivore. You're not going to want to miss it. In fact, you're probably going to want to learn what it is. But for folks just joining now at the top of the hour, I'm the managing editor for ROMchip, a journal of game histories. We are an open access hybrid audience online venue for the publication of game history. What this means is that first, we develop, solicit, edit, and publish work across a range of formats, from traditional academic articles to oral histories to short essays and translations, dealing with everything from video games to board games, analog games, sports, and play. Second, we have no paywall, no advertising, no logins, no predatory publishing model. You don't have to pay anything to read research published by ROMchip. And last, we are a hybrid audience, meaning you shouldn't need a PhD to read or write for ROMchip. We are trying to build a big tent around game history. As you can see in the bar below, our Tier 1 fundraising goal is $7,000. This will pay our base operating expenses, but we don't want to just hit this goal because it's just Tier 1, baby. We've got Tier 2, we've got Tier 3. I think you can tell the balls are starting to hit me. So we want to smash this goal. 9 and 11K means that we can pay more folks to write more game history, make more game history possible. ROMchip is funded only by our fans and our supporters. So please give if you can.